Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So somebody reached out and asked me, you know, an extremely good question, and I'm gonna be honest about it. So they asked me if somebody was to ask me if I was on my Deen, what would I say? Right? Now this is for me. This is not no fake piety. This is not trying to sound over pious or none of that. If somebody was to ask me, am I on my Deen? I would say no. I would say no. That's something those are some words that you will never hear me speak. I'm on my Deen. I'm out here Deening. You will never hear me talk like I know I'm going to Jannah. You know, if I was to pass away right now, like if somebody asked me, man, if you passed away right now, do you think you're going to Jannah? I'm going to say no. No, I don't. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I done said, like if individuals be like, man, do you feel like you're a good Muslim? I'm going to say no. No, I'm not. I'm not a good Muslim. Now, this isn't because I'm a bad person or I'm extremely sinful. My answer is based off of a different understanding. One, I don't do enough. You see what I'm saying? I know enough to know the difference between what Islam is and what Islam isn't. I'm not a person who just come up with a whole bunch of stuff or real zindikish and call it Deen. See, I understand that Deen is a way of life that's pleasing to Allah as a wajel that leads to Jannah. Even if you commit a sin, there's things that you do to get that particular sin off of you. That's part of your Deen, right? The way the religion of Islam is supposed to be practiced is a part of your Deen. How you live the Quran out. You know, like a lot of people say I'm up on Quran and Sunnah, but like I say, in reality, they probably ain't even read 100 hadiths. And that's being generous. A lot of Muslims who say they up on Quran and Sunnah, especially some who throw in I'm up on Quran and Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf, the majority of them that say that I've met, they ain't never sat down and bust a book of hadith open and read at least 20 hadith straight. And I'm not being funny. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. They ain't even never sat down and read some tafsirs. How you on Quran and Sunnah? I'm living my life in the Quran and Sunnah. You don't even know what's in it. See, this stuff is just rhetoric. So like I said, a lot of things that people did as Christians or whatever they was before, you know, some form of a Jehovah's Witness, you know, a Nation of Islam member, a Moorish American, because these is realistic things here. So what they did that may have made them good in that, they really still just that, but a lot of that go against Islam. So because they do that, they think they on their Deen. I'm not that. I'm not that. And I'm able to speak from a particular experience by accepting Islam at the age of 13, 14 years old. I always repeat that. When I was on that mixture of gang version of Islam, that Vice Lord, Stone, Four Corner Hustler, Mickey Cobra, you know, I ain't gonna put them all out there because we all one conglomerate. But that mixture of Islam, which got some Nation of Islam, some Moorish American, a little War of Deen mixed all in it, even when I was on that, you couldn't tell me I wasn't on my Deen. And I hadn't even never read the Quran. Okay? I had a lot of stuff that was phony. Like I'm gonna point out one thing to y'all that came from that mixture of plethora of War of Deen, Moorish American, Nation of Islam, Vice Lord, Stone, because all of them had their own king and chiefs. There was a king of the forest, king of the stones, king of the vice lords, and then your multiple branches of vice lord, right? So each one had wrote certain things in the literature. So there were certain things that they wrote wherever they took it from. Okay? So one of the things that was in our literatures was called palms up. So like where the blocks where you know the hustlers, the gangs met, and you know we'd sit out there and drink and smoke and you know fraternize with the females and talk our gang literature. One of the things that we was taught to do, some would say assalamu alaikum and some wouldn't. We would do this, assalamu alaikum. We was taught to put your hands up like this, the palms up. We called it palms up. Means I come in peace. We didn't know that was attached to dua. We didn't even know what dua meant. But because we would do this, man, assalamu alaikum. So that's like saying I come in peace without saying I come in peace. We thought this stuff was real Islam. Some old gang stuff, some old stuff, man, some old head cats made up in penitentiary. And now had us young cats out here in the streets doing it. Thinking it's Islam. And we thinking we on our Deen because we doing this. So a lot of individuals doing stuff like that, fake made up gang garbage mixed into their Deen. And when I say Deen, I mean their way of life. Okay? Not restricting it to the Deen of Islam. Okay? So they have a lot of that stuff mixed in their Deen, and they think it's Islam. So I'm not that. I'm not that anymore. So the mistake that I made was when I would say that I was on my Deen, because I was comparing myself to my environment. I started to do little stuff like be with one woman. I'm gonna take a relationship serious. They didn't, right? So I'm Deening because I'm taking a woman serious and they ain't. But it's still my girlfriend. I don't even want to marry her. Okay, so I'm not on my Deen. I got a girlfriend. This is contradictory to Islam. You understand what I'm saying? I stopped going to the clubs and they kept going to the clubs and I didn't. So yeah, that's alhamdulillah. You shouldn't be in the clubs, right? But I just brought the club environment into my home. Because when gang banging started going on, the clubs and the parties started busting down to get-togethers. So the people I went to the club with and drunk and smoke with and all that, we would just do it at a house. Let's get together and smoke and drink and fraternize with the ladies at a house. Well, we ain't got to worry about the gang banging. So because I wasn't going to the club, and they still was, these other so-called Muslims due to the gang culture, they're going. I'm still doing the exact same activities. It's just with a selected few at the house. But I think I'm on my Deen. But I'm still living a life that's contradictory to Islam. I had a Quran. They didn't. So because I was reading my Quran, giving myself my own understanding, and they wasn't even reading the Quran at all. And I could sit around them and be like, yeah, I was reading the Quran last night. It said this. But I'm giving it my own interpretation. I'm speaking without knowledge. Right? And not to mention, I got an Ahmadiyyan Quran, and I'm speaking from the footnotes. a bunch of Batil. Because they got a lot of Ahmadiyyan point of views, a bunch of Batil that I done learned from the footnotes. Okay? So, in reality, because some of them, oh man, a brother Deen, and man, he all out there in apartments, man, with his girl. He don't do nothing but work, come home, on the weekends. Few of the brothers go out there and drink and smoke. You know what I'm saying? I was doubling my paycheck. Some weeks I triple it. Soon as payday hit on Friday and I got off work, by Sunday I done doubled it. I was still doubling and tripling my paychecks. That's all I really needed. That way I can pay my bills with my check, right? When me and my girl out here, then I got some kicking it money. What did kicking it mean? You know what I'm saying? Catch a little movie, get a double beef jumbo pizza with extra cheese, you know what I'm saying? Which we used to refer to as a Vice Lord pizza. We literally used to go to the restaurant and be like, man, let me get a Vice Lord pizza. Even if they were stones or whatever, folk on us or whatever, we could pull up to the restaurant because some of the brothers ran it. Man, let me get a jumbo Vice Lord pizza. Could call them on the phone. Let me get a jumbo Vice Lord pizza. So I'm still ordering Vice Lord pizza, double beef and cheese, basically. Extra cheese and extra beef. So I'm still ordering Vice Lord pizzas. Which is nothing wrong with eating pizza, but the simple fact, this is a Vice Lord pizza. I want the Vice Lord pizza. This is still contradictory, but because this is how I'm moving, I think I'm on my Deen. But I'm not. My way of life, I don't make salat. Don't even know how. I don't have the proper understanding about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now keep in mind though, I'm still young though. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting ready. I'm like 19. You know what I'm saying? I have my own little spot, me and my girl, you know what I'm saying? Because this is Deen. This is Islam. But it's contradictory. But like I said, because I was comparing myself to the knuckleheads that I was around, I thought I was Deening. You understand? And I wasn't even close. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people on these same actions. I say the only thing that I was doing that was in accordance, I didn't eat no pork. You know what I'm saying? Of no kind. But that was already inherited in me from the gang culture because we had to be Muslims. If you ate pork, they'll violate you. Like it blew my mind with the gang culture. Except for that some of them had some leniency. Because some of us was young and still lived with our parents, so we couldn't control what we ate. So just don't eat no pork on Friday. You hustling, take you some money and go to McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Go to KFC or something on Fridays. Put y'all money together and order a Vice Lord pizza. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't eat no pork. And like I said, if they caught you eating pork, some of the violations be like, you got to fight for 10 minutes, a 15-minute head to toe for eating pork. But you could do cocaine, smoke marijuana, smoke geysers, drink a fifth of Crown Royal, Hennessy, Remy, 2 cases of beer. And that wasn't no problem. But if you ate some pork, they was going to mollywop you if they caught you. Okay? So, the pork thing I already didn't have. No fasting for Ramadan. But like I said, you couldn't tell me I wasn't on my Deen. You couldn't tell me I wasn't. I didn't have nothing to compare it to. And that's why, like, a lot of these individuals, they be saying they on a Deen and this and that, but to be honest with you, because they might pray, but sometimes they praying is for the wrong intentions. Like they don't have a job, so they praying real heavily so that Allah bless them with a job. You know, they got a good job. Let me keep my prayers up so I don't miss it. Or some of the most ridiculous things I ever heard, where Muslim cats getting together talking about make sure everybody pray all 5 times, or Allah if we miss our prayers, Allah ain't gonna allow us to continue to sell drugs. We gonna start getting busted. Or they'll come do, you got Muslims doing 2 rakats so that they can have a successful trip out of town to pick the dope up and make it back. They'll do 2 rakats before they leave and 2 rakats when they make it back of thankfulness. But never 2 rakats of Toba. But they think that's Deen. They on their Deen because they do that. But that's totally contradictory to the Deen. Deen is a way of life that's pleasing to Allah in all of your actions, even when you sin, and you know how to say astaghfirullah. You know how to follow up those bad deeds with the good deeds. You know how to make tawbah from those major sins. You understand? Some of them still chilling out with that girlfriend. Some of them cheating and fornicating on those girlfriends. You know what I'm saying? Pardon me. So you have a lot of people that think that they own a Deen, but they really live a life that's contradictory to Islam. So like me pointing out what I went through and the way I came up, and because the way I chilled out and started doing certain things, I thought I was on a Deen. You know, I read the Quran. I had a Quran. They didn't. I'm reading it, giving them my own interpretation when I'm talking to people. They're still doing. So my point is, some of the people that I hear say on their Deen, they worse than what I was when I was a kid. And I still don't say I'm on my Deen. It wasn't until I started to meet Muslims that was really Deening, for real Deening, not no, you know, if people want to call it Arab Deening, whatever they want to call it. When I started traveling and meeting Muslims, it started through MySpace. A brother from Philly named Nakir, he used to have a webcam, right? This is when everybody was on the computers. And he would be on the webcam and he would invite me. You know, we met through a MySpace group. His wife told him about me, right? We was in this MySpace group. We used to get in the MySpace group, and I used to argue because you had Moors, 5%ers, Nation of Islam members, and then you had the Muslims, but everybody would refer to them as Orthodox Islam. As in, unorthodox Islam is something that's permissible. Like, even when you just think about that, are they Orthodox Muslims? Well, what are we? We're unorthodox Muslims. We don't follow that Orthodox Islam, that traditional Islam. Even saying those words off a person's tongue should let them know something not all the way right about this. You're going to have to make up something and twist it up to make unorthodox Islam be real. So, you know, it was War of Deen members in there, Ahmadians. It was just a whole mixture. And every day we would be in there arguing and debating. And his wife used to be in there. And because I didn't become a Moorish American, but I used to be around some who grandparents was with Noble Drew Ali. So their father, like they have pictures, and you know, I ain't gonna go through that. And I used to be around them, and because of the Vice Lords and Stone stuff that I grew up in, I knew a lot of the Moorish American stuff because a lot of it was in our literature. So they was trying to groom me to charter me a temple. You know what I'm saying? A Moorish Science temple. And I loved knowledge and learning, so I went through and learned it. And then I was in college, and bumped into a 5%er. So I'm learning that. So I'm in a group and I'm able to argue because I think I know some Deen. I know it's in the Quran. I ain't never read no hadiths. I still don't even know how to make salat properly. So I'm in a group arguing and his wife tell him, dude got the makings to be a good brother. He just need to meet the right Muslim. So he reached out to me. And he was like, I can see your love for Islam because you don't, although you calling yourself part of the 5%ers, you argue against them because they call themselves God and you don't accept that. So I'm explaining, man, I became Muslim at 13, but this is to be honest, this is my way of escaping. I can be Muslim without being Muslim. I can still have a girlfriend. I can still have me a little beer when I eat. I don't have to be married. This is my way of being Muslim without being Muslim. And then the brother cleaned me up. And what he did was, when they would have get-togethers at his house to help single Muslims get married. So he'll bust out the webcam, tell me what time, he'll hit me up through the group, tell me what time to get on, and then we'd get on the group, and then he'd turn on the webcam, and I had one on my computer, man, and I would be looking, it would be like 16 sisters. We talking about real covered, 16, 17, sometimes 20 sisters. Real covered, not that snug shirt so snug you can see their belly button and they just got something covering their hair up. They just making sure no skin show, but the clothes so tight on their shirt, so tight on you can see their belly button. That's still nudity. But because it's a cute outfit and their hair and their neck not showing, they think it's hijab, a pair of pants that they had to pull on and jump in them like this. If you got to jump in your pants and do all this to get them up, you're not covered. That's too snug. But anyway, so I'm seeing this and I'm like, whoa. Brothers and those, whether anybody want to call it Arab or whatever they want to call it, right? Brothers and those, all white those, because it's the Sunnah. All white is the Sunnah, right? All white thobes, Kufi, Kafirs, and them, and they, they had a whiteboard, but it was on an easel. I think they call it easels. Might be for like painting or whatever, but I don't know. The little three-legged stand, and they doing Islamic trivia with hadiths. Now keep in mind, I'm a person who think I'm on my Deen because I know all this fake. Like I said, from the gang culture, a part of it where they had this thing where you palms up like this. It means I come in peace, and we'd be like, Assalamu alaikum, saying I come in peace. We didn't know that meant dua and all this other stuff like that. But we think this real Deen, so because we doing this when we meeting, we think we on some Deen. I thought I was on my Deen until I met them. They was talking about stuff in Islam I couldn't even have a conversation with them about. You understand? I knew more about that, more 5% stuff than I knew about real Islam. I was able to talk about stuff from the Quran, but it would be my own interpretation because I read the Quran a lot. But like I said, I had a Ahmadiyyan translation because this was the translation that the Nation of Islam, they always had one. And then in this city, the War of Deen members that was in this city, that War of Deen, that they knew War of Deen personally. Like they hung with him. They did security for him. War of Deen sent them here personally to establish the masjid. The masjid was registered under the I Care program that he had, where he got the grants and all that. They also promoted the same Quran, the Ahmadiyyan one, Imam Shabazz now. So that was the only one I had. It was Ahmadiyyan, so I didn't have the right version, and I'm coming from my own understanding due to the footnotes. And they would be like, no, you know what I'm saying? So this is my introduction to like what actually deeming looks like. Not me repeating a whole bunch of prison rhetoric. And it's extremely difficult to get somebody who went to prison, accepted Islam in prison, and they was in prison 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10, 15 years, 18 years. And this stuff that they doing, they think is Islam because it may have some similarities. They may pray. They may have what they consider to be Jumu'ah. And it may be a permissible one, but the Qutbar ain't really Quran and Sunnah. You understand? And they had these terminologies. Man, I'm living my life in accordance with Quran and Sunnah. But they can't even talk about the Quran intelligently. I'm living my life in accordance with Quran and Sunnah, but I ain't never even sat down with one book of hadith and read 20 hadiths in a row. You could look at them and when they praying, where did that come from? You know what I'm saying? Cats doing like this when they praying, they doing stuff like this. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Or they might be like this. Allahu Akbar. Where that come from? You know what I'm saying? Doing it. Allahu Akbar. What hadith is that? What hadith is that? Or doing this one, thinking you gotta put your thumb on your earlobes like that. Allahu Akbar. Like some antlers, elephant ears. Allahu Akbar. We all get that from. But because they've been doing it in prison, this is the only environment of Islam that they seen. They don't know that stuff is nonsense. I was the same way and then when you come home, you're surrounded by individuals whose deen is just as penitentiary as yours. You know what I'm saying? Cats all in the ring. Allahu Akbar. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a whole bunch of different stuff. But they living their life in accordance with Quran and Sunnah because these are sayings. These things you're supposed to say. I was like that. I thought I said the same stuff, man. I'm on Quran and Sunnah. I ain't never even seen the book of hadiths, let alone read them. So once I meet some brothers and I seen what Deen look like when you start to see what the Quran says and they putting it into practice, them pointing out hadiths for everything that they doing. Like, there's a way to live your life when you open your eyes and wake up, things that you're supposed to say all the way to the point through your whole day until when you go to bed and lay down to go to sleep. You see what I'm saying? So I don't say I'm on my deen because I don't do enough. I don't do enough. Sometimes my intentions on certain things, they isn't as pure as they should be. You know what I'm saying? I say, like, for instance, sometimes if I have enough time where I could pray in my own masjid, but I'm moving a little slow, so sometimes it mixes in with the time when I need to be at work. I sit up and say, okay, if I pray, I'm going to be late. So let me pray at work. You see what I'm saying? So I jump in the car and rush to work and pray at work, which is cool. But for me, I'm in my own masjid. I'm not praying in the masjid because I'm worried about being late for work. And then when I get to work, I'm still clocking in 5-6 minutes early. I wouldn't have been late. I had enough time to pray in the masjid and get to work. So that's what I mean. So sometimes my intention, and then like with me, I feel like, man, I should have just put my trust in Allah and prayed. Had I been late and just missed that couple of little dollars, because they gonna automatically dock you 15 minutes, right? It would have been better for me to pray in my masjid than to rush to work and then pray in this dirty environment or have to pray outside, which nothing is wrong with that. But I didn't want to get docked at 15 minutes. That type of stuff. So I know what my intentions was. Although it was permissible, it wasn't the best thing to do. But I wanted that money. It was almost like money over the prayer. So because sometimes I make those type of decisions, I am not going to say I'm on my Deen. And with me speaking on some of the things, like I said, it's who you compare yourself to. So I start to compare myself to the companions, right? When you look at how they live and the way they practice Islam, it'd be funny, man, because when I talk to Muslims throughout the years that's like in this city, it sounds impossible. Even when you talk to the sisters, it sounds impossible to be like Khadijah and Aisha. It sounds impossible to be like Ali and Uthman. That sounds impossible. But when you talking to other Muslims who done been to school, this and that, they actually be kind of close to it. It's not impossible to them. It's something to strive for. But because they in their area, like I'm going to tell a short story about a sister who was connected to me at one point in time. And I'm going to keep it 100. When they covered, although they just had the piece over their head, their clothes was always baggy. Like they would buy big sweatpants, right? If they didn't have like a dress or this and that, they always had on big sweatpants, big huge sweaters. It wasn't cute. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? They worked. It wasn't necessarily an abaya and overgarments and kimars and stuff like that, but it was a little piece that you put over your head and cover your head and your neck, and then they'd tuck it in, and it had the little piece. You put the piece over your head first, they cover your forehead, then you put the piece over that. But they always had on big baggy clothes. Now other people might have on a cute skirt and, you know, some colorful stuff, but you could see like their belly button. You could see like the ripple in their stomach. Even if they had on all black, it was too snug. Clothes that they jumping in. Shirts with their arm all out. You know what I'm saying? Shirts with a V right here. And padded bras and stuff. And not like I'm sitting up saying I'm looking at it. But these things was just what you're going to see in front of you. But even then, and they was attached to me, so it was like, you're covered. You covered. You can't really see the shape of your body. You know what I'm saying? But it would be people around, oh man, them sweatpants, they men sweatpants. So you imitating men. But they wife might have some jeans on that they jumped in. You see what I'm saying? Because they're trying to wear form-fitting clothes that's cute. So my point is, she was getting ready to get married to this brother in Jersey. So he paid for her to get out there. And the way that she understood Islam. So he got her around Muslims, and now where she is, she's the question answerer. Now when she's out there, she can't even talk about Islam. And when it's time to go to the masjid, wallahi, she told me she couldn't even get out of the car. Because she had never seen Muslims like that. She sat in the car through the whole Jummah. Didn't even want to jump out and go meet any more people. But see here, it was a different story. She realized then, I ain't even close to being on my Deen. And that's what happened with me, man. And a lot of people need that reality check. So like something else with me, why I won't say I'm on my Deen, and I'm gonna quit babbling, right? I compare myself to the companions, right? So in one thing where you can see how deep where a companion was like, I'm gonna read the Quran every single day of my life, like the whole Quran. The Rasul told him, no, just read it once every 30 days. So just off of that, I'm deficient. I don't read the Quran once every 30 days. The entire Quran. Once every 30 days. Okay? So for me, I'm not on my Deen because that's part of the way of life. So then the companion says to the Rasul, I can do better than that. The Rasul tell him, okay, well cut it in half. Do it once every 15 days. In my head, read the Quran once every 15 days. Okay? Then certain times, Shaitan start putting excuses in my head. Well, maybe they're able to do that because they're reading it in Arabic. So it must be less words. They understand the Arabic. English put too much words in it. I could never do it. But then the companion says, I can do better than that. So the Rasul said, well, do it read it once every 7 days. But don't read it more than once every 3 days. So from this, the companions, you had some who started reading the Quran once every 3 days. Read the Quran once every 3 days? That's being on your Deen, baby. We'll make excuses. Some of us can't read from the Quran once every 3 days. If we say to ourselves, let me read the Quran once, let me read one page every 3 days for a whole year, we won't make it. But we'll be the ones talking about we on our Deen. But we really living a life that's really contradicts the Deen, but we may pray 5 times. And hopefully us praying 5 times had the correct intentions. So that's one of my deficiencies. Like right now, since Ramadan, right? I do Qiyam al-Layl and Tahajjud, right? I'm going through the whole Quran, and like this stuff be mindful to me. Right now, I make the dua every night for Allah to allow me to complete the whole Quran in my night prayers before Ramadan start. Right now, I'm on page 148. Since it's a real huge Quran, it's 347 pages. So it's 347 pages. Right? I'm on page 148. I'm not even halfway through it. And I'm in Surah Al-Furqan. I'm like on ayat 44 in Surah Al-Furqan. And I'm trying to do it in a whole year, just once. When it came, now we talking about this, them reading the Quran, this outside of what they do in night prayer. Some of them did a minimum of 24 surahs in night prayer. Can you add that up? That's Deen. Some of us can't even do 24 ayats in night prayer. 24 surahs for the night prayer. On top of that, going to bed after Isha, getting some good rest, may even be with their spouse, right? Have a little relations with their spouse. Get up, do a light ghusl so that they can go back to sleep, do a light ghusl, just to wake back up and do a full, complete ghusl and pray pray Tahajjud and recite 24 surahs every night. Every night. Or at least the majority of them, if they wasn't sick or something like that. And then some of them, because they couldn't wake up from it, they would do it before they went to sleep. Making it Qiyam al-Layl. Because the Hajj is when you go to sleep and wake up and do it. 24 surahs, 20 surahs, reciting it in prayer at night that you woke up to do. Some of us can't even read 24 surahs a day. On top of that, outside of that, they read their Quran once every 3 days, B. Once every 7 days. You even had some Sahabas that looked at you like you wasn't on Deen. If you let 2 months go by and you didn't read your Quran. What? You ain't read the whole Quran once in 2 months? You ain't completed the Quran once in 2 months? You ain't on your Deen, kid. So why would I think I'm on my Deen? They wouldn't think it. They wouldn't think it. Now, I do read a little bit from my Quran. Like right now, my goal, what I'm trying to accomplish, and I gotta work my way up to it. I'm trying to complete the Quran twice in 1 month. Now, I won't say I completed it. But it was some times during Taraweeh where I got pretty close. I was doing 1 juz a night. I was doing 1 juz a night in Arabic. And I think the most I got up to, if I'm not mistaken, I got up to like 13 juz. So I did that like every night, 1 juz in Taraweeh. This me reciting. Of course I'm using a book. I completed 13 juz, 13, maybe 14. 13, 14. I'm just going to leave it at 13. 13 juz. 1 juz per night during Taraweeh. And then in English, I read 1 juz every day. So I was doing pretty good to complete it twice in 1 month. Once in Arabic and then once in English. But I started to break down. You know what I'm saying? As my fasting went on, I still continued. I just wasn't reciting the whole entire juz every night. You understand? So that's just my goal now. To complete the Quran at least twice in a month. But that's what I'm saying right there. No matter what else you had going on, if you let 2 months go by and you ain't completed the Quran once, you ain't on your Deen, baby. So why would I be on mine? I don't do enough. See, if Jannah is what you want, let's say you look at you want to make it as an NBA player and you want to be one of the best. Let's take Kobe Bryant, right? It's clear Kobe Bryant wanted to be one of the best players in the NBA ever. And he is. But what did he do? He studied and patterned himself after Michael Jordan. All the way down to the way that he walked like him. He chewed his gum like him. He talked exactly like him when he did interviews. Used the same words that he used. Even hired the same conditional coaches and trainers that Michael Jordan used. Called him on the phone and asked him, how you eating? What do you do? And he patterned himself right after Michael Jordan. I'm mentioning that because that was a prime example of what the people did with the Rasul. If they was walking with the Rasul, if the Rasul took a step right here and then a step right there, they stepped in the exact same places where he stepped. So me mentioning that, you gotta look at the lives. There's hadiths about the ones that was guaranteed Jannah. They was guaranteed Jannah, baby. Maybe you need to look at how they deemed, because they got Jannah. What they did and what they stayed away from, that's Deen. That's Deen. See, Deen, the Deen of Islam is a life that's going to lead you to Jannah. So that's why would, instead of me looking at the Muslims in my environment, when I sit down and you know, they watching and they going to get mad at me. You know what I'm saying? I make dua to Allah. If I was like one of them, I would feel like I was being punished by Allah. No judgment. I ask Allah to please, Allah, don't let me ever end up like any of them. No disrespect to them. They don't even, you know what I'm saying? But I can't look at that and say, because I don't do this and I'm not like that and I'm not with these type of women, I'm not out here still doing this and that, like that makes me on my Deen, because I don't do what they do. I look at the companions, I look at the scholars, I look at the strong students, and instead of saying I'm on my Deen because I'm not like them, no, I'm not on my Deen because I'm not like these ones that's 1,000 times better than me. That's what keeps you thriving. You look at the Muslims in your environment and all they do is sell dope, fornicate, intoxicate, follow their desires. You know, some sisters been Muslim 20-some years and they still wear snug, firm fitting clothes with their head covered. No matter how many times you tell them, because they following what their heart desires. They cute in that. That's a cute outfit. I applauded the sister who wore big baggy sweatshirts and sweatpants and covered their hair up because you couldn't see how their body was shaped. As opposed to the ones in a cute outfit and you could see their belly button, you could just basically see everything. Like if your belly button shows through your shirt, it's snug. That's still nudity. But their whole concept is you can't see any of my skin or my hair. You can see the whole entire shape of your body. Like easily. Your pants so snug, you can see they panty liners on their pants, man. Not that I'm looking, but just even hearing the conversations with other people around. Like other sisters, man, you can see her. Man, look, you can see her panty liners. You can see the lines of her panties. That's not hijab. And some of them been Muslim, feeling like they've been covering for 20 years. Not in accordance with what's legislated. And alhamdulillah, yeah, people start off that way, but the thing is, you got to use yourself as a measuring stick, right? Some people been doing the same thing for 20 years, just like you can sit down with some people. They know the exact same 2-3 surahs that they've been knowing for 20 years, for 15 years. They ain't even trying to learn nothing more. It's not like it's mandatory that you have to do certain things, and this is some things where I hold myself accountable for because I don't feel like I'm on my Deen, like I say I'm memorizing enough. There's hadiths that say some of the levels of Jannah that you're going to reach is going to be based off how much Quran you have memorized. Like, the more you can recite, the more you're going to ascend. But we don't think it's Deen. Or you ain't got to memorize a whole bunch of Quran. We always put those limitations of mediocrity on each other. As long as you know enough to recite and do your prayers, You good. And then we stay there for 20 years, our whole entire Deen. All you gotta do is just cover your hair up, girl. And then they be in hijab like that for 20 years. Then argue against anybody who say this is what's legislated. And then of course you got your African Americans who talking about that's Arab, this and that. But because the sister understood what was legislated, she would be in huge baggy sweatpants or real big jeans, like super big baggy pants. Okay? Because she know it's supposed to be loose fitting. What's loose fitting about a shirt so snug on you that you can see your belly button? But because it's cuter than what the other girls got on, you on your Deen. This outfit is cuter. See, because we comparing ourselves to the wrong people. I can't look at these individuals and be like, man, compared to them, I'm on my Deen. La. I look at the Sahaba and say, I got a long way to go. I look at the scholars. I look at some of these strong students of knowledge that I talk to and be like, nah, I ain't on my Deen at all. I ain't on my Deen at all. You know what I'm saying? Even in my head. And this is things that I sit back and think on. I'm trying to complete the Quran in Arabic in night prayer from one Ramadan to the next. A 12 calendar month. And they doing 24 surahs per night. They finishing the Quran in 1 week. Some of them would complete the whole Quran in 2 days during night prayer. I'm trying to do it in 12 months. And because I'm not even halfway through, out of 347 pages and I'm on 148, I'm not even halfway through. And we 5 months away, almost 4 months away from Ramadan. So now I'm turning it up a notch to recite way more and a lot longer. Because I got it, you know what I'm saying? I make dua for Allah to allow me to do it. I ain't on my Deen, man. I don't do enough. Another one. Some things that I fall into. The way we eat. The way we fill this vessel. You know what I'm saying? A third for food, a third for water, a third from air. Sometimes I be stuffed. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, how I got some fresh juice that I made myself, right? I make my own juices, cold press. Right now, this is watermelon, moon grapes, some deep dark purple grapes, right? A lot of antioxidants in it. And limes. It's something else that I put in there. Green apples, right? And then I throw a whole bunch of black seeds, like on the bottom right there. It's a bunch of black seeds and hibiscus. Like the real hibiscus leaves that you make tea with. So I get to a point where, like right now, for 3 days, I ain't gonna do nothing but drink herbal tea and juices. I'm not gonna eat anything. I'm gonna liquid fast for 3 days. But because over the weekend, I'm not really a meat eater. So I done indulged in a few lamb chops. And, you know, I ordered from the halal spot. Went crazy on some lamb chops. You know what I'm saying? So I overfill that vessel sometimes. Like even when I do this and I be seeing the way my weight be fluctuating. You know what I'm saying? Too much drinking, too much liquids with what I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? That goes against the Deen. The Rasul break down how this stuff affect the body, the sicknesses that it causes, the different ailments, how it's heavy on your joints. I'm not on my Deen because of that. Sometimes when I go to bed, sometimes I'm strong on it. Your sunnahs before you go to bed. And these is very beneficial in case you die in that state. The way you make ghusl, right? And the way that you You lay down, you got to do the side of your bed like this 3 times. And then start off laying on your right side. And then it's amazing because once I start studying the body, it's a way that your liver, when you lay on your right side, the way that your liver and gallbladder starts to flush. So it's actually health benefits in starting to lay on your right side. The way it cause things to start to flush, to come into your stomach and naturally cleanse your bladder system, your liver and your gallbladder. Like where people starting to develop gallstones, liver stones. Then it back up and then they start getting kidney stones. With a proper diet and then starting off laying in your sleep and laying on your right side, this stuff helped that. That's from the sauna. Now if you end up laying on your back, or on your left side, alhamdulillah. Sometimes, man, I be real tired and like I neglect that. Sometimes I might be real tired and just hop out of the shower and like it might be hot. So I just got a towel or something, I go lay across my bed to cool off. And for whatever reason, I dive on my bed and grab a remote. Next thing you know, I'm waking up, I done slept on my stomach. And this is from the shaitan. How am I sitting around talking about I'm on my Deen, I fall asleep on my stomach. I know some Muslims who talking about they can't sleep unless they sleep on their stomach. But see, they don't know the Deen, they don't know the way of life. They don't even know how to do the sunnahs before they go to sleep. And like if you die in that state, how you get Jannah and different things like that. Making sure you in ghusl, not just a regular shower. The things you do before you lay down and go to bed. I don't do them sometimes. Sometimes some months might go past. I might be to have a shower, but see, alhamdulillah, because the way I do tahajjud and qiyam al-layl, and then I go to sleep after Fajr because I have to lay down for work when you really shouldn't go to sleep after Fajr, but due to my schedule, so I'm in that state when I go lay down, but I don't do my bed like this. And sometimes I don't start off on my right side. I'm not on my Deen. I don't do enough. You understand? If there's 100 things that you're supposed to do from the Deen, and I only do 10 of them, I'm not on my Deen. I'm more off of it than on it. Not to mention the little things that I fall into that I shouldn't. You know? Just keeping it Dougie. I might see a female in a store or at work or in a parking lot. I might look at them twice. I might have to actually catch myself and be like, oh man, astaghfirullah. They might have on some type of strong perfume or something. And I'm walking past and catch a whiff and I might look at them like, well, you know what I'm saying? I fall into those things. I'm not on my Deen. You understand? That's me though. But like I said, for certain people, what they consider being on a Deen is not Deen. It's actually contradictory to it. It may look like it because you might read Quran or you might pray, but you're praying with the wrong intentions. So that's, with this long drawn out answer, that's why if somebody asks me am I on my Deen, I'm going to say no. I don't do enough. I don't do enough. When you look at the people that you know for certain that's going to Jannah because Allah Azza wa Jal said they going to Jannah, look at their life and compare it to yours. And then that's when that reality gonna kick in. And these ones that's getting Jannah to Firdaus. You want Jannah to Firdaus? And you ain't doing nothing but chasing dunya? You know what I'm saying? And then you mix a little bit of Islam in there so that you can achieve the dunya? Lah. Like we used to say in the streets, hustling backwards. That's Deening backwards. You Deening for the dunya. You Deening for the dunya. That's hustling backwards. That's just like hustling just to blow all your money. You out here risking penitentiary, risking your life, robbing people, committing all type of crimes just to blow your money on stupidity. You hustling backwards. You hustling to be dumb, not smart. You deening to be dumb, not smart. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say Shaitan allow you to get caught up sometimes in your environment. Just because it's a bunch of old vice lord, penitentiary dean Muslims and sisters. You know, like one sister who left the deen and stopped covering. And you know, it's females who feel the exact same way as her and don't cover, but they trying to talk to her. And by me knowing from them, I know how they in their head like, these sisters don't even cover, trying to talk to me about covering. They sound like hypocrites. You telling me what I need to do, but you don't do it. You be all out of town, half naked, breasts and everything out. You know what I'm saying? You sitting around talking about you only do it from your husband. I only do it so that just to be around him and he take care of these kids. And her sitting around, and then they sitting around trying to say something about her. You never even made it to the point that I made it to, but you trying to tell me what to do. That's why I don't like Islam. That's why I don't like Muslims. It's a bunch of phonies. I done sit up around a man all this time. He trying to force all this stuff up on me that he don't do. Verbally abuse me. Take away the food in the house. Cut the cable off as punishments to me. And now this Mark running around a big kafir. He a huge kafir. But don't say nothing to him. He been left Islam. I lived in a house with him. That dude wasn't Muslim. He only did certain stuff because Yasin was around him. Now he big kafir. Had that same energy with him. This how they talking. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't even cover trying to talk to me about what I need to do. But people fall into the mistake of comparing themselves to their environment, man. And that's not the case. Do you read your Quran once every 3 days? Look, when an individual said, look, just the leniency, the first recommendation for the Rasul, read it 1 time a month. Do you read the whole entire Quran? Do you finish it once a month? Let alone the 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks, once every 7 days, once every 3 days. If my math is correct, if you read the Quran once every 3 days, in 30 days, you could read the Quran 10 times, right? Huh? What's that? It's 6 days. That's at least twice a week. And then you mix the other days in. 10 times a month. Some of us don't even read the Quran 10 times in 10 years. That's being on your deen. But just the leniency, once per month. And that's why some of them looked at it, man, you ain't completed the Quran in 2 months. You ain't on your deen. You have some deficiencies in your Islam. I got some deficiencies in my Islam, baby. I ain't on my deen. What am I on my deen for, man? Because I wear these when I go outside and I pray 5 times? Huh? I ain't on my deen, man. I need to get to it. That don't make me on my deen. That might be good enough for you, but that ain't good enough for me. Because I look at the ones who we know for a fact they getting Jannah. They wouldn't even recognize our Islam. They'll look at us and be like, man, what is this? What do you guys call this? Y'all claim to be following Islam like us. Is you kidding? You guys got to be kidding. In our day, we would have dirt napped cats like you just so that y'all deficiencies wouldn't spread. You understand? Cats would have took a dirt nap around us just so that y'all deficiencies wouldn't spread. You know what I'm saying? I ain't on my Deen. Cats, oh man, I live my life in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. Don't know no tafsirs and no hadiths. Can't even quote a whole hadith that they heard right. but they live their life in accordance with Quran and Sunnah. Yeah, okay, that's easy for you to say until you actually start looking at the Sunnah. But we think that. We arrogant, man. And I'm going to tell y'all something else about me, man. And I'm going to end on this, because I got to get ready to go to work. Another reason why I say I ain't on my Deen? Because I don't like Muslims. I don't like Muslims, man. These new Muslims, I can't even say new Muslims. This new version of practicing Islam, all this dope boy having girlfriends and boyfriends and deficient covering and, you know what I'm saying, throwing on a salmon colored dashiki and talking about this and all that type of stuff, man. All this deficiencies. You know what I'm saying? You know more about Noah than you know about Prophet Noah. You know more about Jesus than you know about Isa alayhi salam. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Bible thumping, don't even know what's in their Quran. Some of them was better at reading their Bible at Kafirs than they do reading their Quran as Muslims. Oh man, I stayed in my Bible. I know my Bible back and forth. Can you do it with your Quran? Can you talk about your Quran with some old made up, without a made up, twisted up version of it? You know what I'm saying? Man, you say something about that Bible, man. I know Muslims right now. You say something about that Bible, they get offended. But a person could sit around and just totally destroy the Quran. Oh man, you like stuff I done heard. You can eat pork. The Quran just say you can't eat the flesh of it. So the flesh of it is like pork chops. But you can eat bacon and ham. Bacon and ham and pepperonis. Because that's not the flesh of swine. The flesh is the pork chops and pork steaks. Yeah, wallahi, I done heard numerous Muslims in this city say that. Send their wife to Steak and Shake to get the bacon double burgers. Sitting up smashing bacon double burgers, B. Talking about the Quran, they not talking about bacon. Cats sitting around with all type of yogurts and baked beans with pork in it and all type of stuff, man. Talking about it's permissible. Baked beans cooked in pork, canned greens in pork juice, and gravies with pork grease all in it. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Making some biscuits and gravies with turkey bacon, but the gravy you done put on the biscuits and gravy got pork sausage grease in it. Talking about the Quran say it's okay. You just can't eat pork chops and pork steaks. But they on a Deen though. Man, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So no, I'm not on my Deen. I'm striving to get better. And may Allah allow me to actually get on my Deen, where Islam, living the Quran and Hadiths is my way of life more than it isn't. It's not that right now. It's not that right now. I don't read my Quran once a month. That's from the Deen, man. That's from the Deen. Whether people want to say, oh, it's a recommendation, oh, this and that. Well, I tell you what, when you look at the understanding of the Rasul and the people that he was around, the understanding they had was, if you went 2 months, some of them was a little stricter, but on the leniency, if you went 2 months without completing your Quran once, you got some deficiencies in your Islam, B. Which means that you ain't on your deen like you think you is. That's how they viewed it. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.